Welcome back to the coverage of the World Championship Playoff Year 2023. This is going to be round number 2. And we have some very, very accomplished players. Once again, it feels like all of the players in this tournament are pretty accomplished, to be honest. But this time, again, we have found somebody that has been to Worlds the last time it happened. And he's trying to go there again, Jonas Koschel.
Yeah, he was 9th after Swiss at Worlds, just barely missing out on this top 8 cut.
That's, well, he's going to have another chance, I reckon. Are you feeling it for Jonas this weekend?
I mean, I've known Jonas for a long time now, and I think that he really performs well under pressure. Even in the times he is not playing that much Yu-Gi-Oh!, he's still performing well in tournaments, and I think that he has prepared a lot for this event, so I think that he has a decent shot. Yes.
It's pretty crazy. And he's up against one of the Italian players in the tournament, and we already talked about it earlier. The Italians do love their fluent restacks.
Yeah.
And Alessio is one of the players piloting in this playoff here. So it is going to be Jonas Koschel with Runic Lifeline Sprite facing off against Alessio Cifola with the fluent restack. So let's see how it plays out. Let's get into the action of round number 2.
Also, there is something in Alessio's list that I have seen that is absolutely crazy to me. We have seen an increase in Droll and Lockbirds this tournament.
Not an actual bird, though, for some reason. It's a spellcaster.
It looks like a bird to me, but yes, actually it is.
It is a bit of a misnomer. I was going to ask, do you think bird watching is big in Italy? Is that why they're all taking fluenderies?
Must be. But first off, we're going to see that Jonas Koschel wins the die roll and therefore starts it off, going into the main phase straight away, summoning out the Kizikal.
And that is not a bad start. However, it is not the start that you really want.
It's like the second best, isn't it? It's still very good, though. And if it resolves, I think you're extremely happy.
Yeah, you are happy if you start one of the live twins.
You want to get this Ghost Ogred. That is the best start.
Sure, okay.
And
if your opponent wants to
the
give you
card.
this, for sure.
I really don't think that it's going to happen in this playoffs. But
Probably not.
Do you think there are any Ghost Ogres among any deck lists in this? I don't think so.
That is a fair point.
Not really. So, very interesting decision by Alessio, and we touched on that a little bit earlier with the Kashtira deck, but the Fluanderis deck, of course, also was like the first deck known to play Dimension Shifter, and Alessio made the call of just side-decking the card. He's not even main-decking Dimension Shifter anymore. Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But we said it earlier, in this kind of a setting with 32 players, the best 32 players of Europe, you kind of know what everyone is playing. A lot of them will be on Kashtira. It's maybe not that good to play it.
And the deck for Jonas now is absolutely locked because we cannot add cards from the deck to the hand by drawing or searching anymore this turn.
So there's no Sprite Blue, Sprite Jet. There's no... what does Jonas do here?
It's pretty impactful, not gonna lie. And Jonas probably just didn't see it coming because this is just not a very popular card in the main deck of a lot of players nowadays. But Alessio made the call. It brought him a win in round number 1, and it is definitely going to help him here in this game 1 of the second round.
Do you think it's strong in particular in the Fluanderis deck? Because one thing, maybe if you're playing it against Kashtira, you're worried about losing a card from your extra deck if you draw and Lockbird them against the Unicorn, but obviously you don't care about your extra deck at all with Fluanderis, so just sticking them on like maybe one Unicorn or one Fenrir is fine. And against this deck, obviously, it's doing a great job. Jonas going into the tank to figure out what he's going to do now.
Yeah, he didn't see that coming. Game 1, that is definitely something that is very unusual, and it seems like he's going for a gigantic Sprite here. Indeed he is.
Yeah, when well-drawn Lockbird is a popular card, I feel like players know what they're going to do under a drawn Lockbird, but I don't think it's like popular enough now that players will have a fully planned out, okay, this is what I do normally, and then this is what I do against drawn Lockbird.
Ooh, and look, we just get another Kizikal out. This time it is Kizikal Frost, so we at least can draw another card on our opponent's turn now. So Jonas not being able to draw any more cards this turn, but maybe on his opponent's turn then, because he will probably also set up the Kizikal and the Lila to have some shenanigans to do on his opponent's main phase as well.
Yeah, I really like that setup here. I was thinking maybe there is, if you have some extenders in your hand, a way in which you also put a sprint to the field, but just going for the Lilla pop ready next turn and having a possible draw there could be strong as well. So we are setting up the Lilla here. We have Kizikil on the field. We have Gigantic Sprite on the field for possible follow-up. Runic Fountain is on the field as well, so we don't risk our cards in hand to a possible Harvey's Feather Duster.
No IP, but against Fluandereeze, making a Nightmare Griffin doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alessio confidently grabs a card immediately, and it is the Harpy's Feather Duster. That would immediately cut out Jonas' chances of using any runic cards, and it does resolve, so we don't see him chaining anything. So no runic spell cards from the hand this turn.
Yep. There is the Kizikil in the extra monster zone, unfortunately for Jonas, so he can't chain to summon a Hugin.
And there is Terraforming and the field spell, so basically 2 times the same card.
Do you take the Terraforming or the field spell?
Maybe he does already have the 3rd copy of it in his hand, but it could also be the Dark Ruler. But Dark Ruler only...
Dark Ruler doesn't feel like it gets one pop out of the way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I would definitely go for the Fluandereeze map here instead of the Terraforming, because there is a chance, especially in this tournament, that a Drone Lockbird gets used after duality. Exactly.
You always have to say, though, you know, even if you say to yourself, like, I don't think it makes sense to run Drone Lockbird in the live Twin Sprite deck because you draw cards on your opponent's turn, but you can say that to yourself, but then your opponent might not agree, you know? They might just be playing it anyway.
So Alessio, very, very, very well known to play Fluandereeze, bringing it to this very special tournament as well. Let's see what he got. I think by having a glimpse on his cards in hand there, I see the continuous spell as well.
He's got to figure out here, because if he just activates the map, then that will prompt the Kiss-a-Kill.
Yeah, probably, right?
I always get the names. That's Kiss-a-Kill, and it's going to summon Lilla, and Lilla's the one that destroys. I think I know the pictures, but I'm just going to get the names the wrong way around all weekend, I'm sure of it.
The confusing thing is that they are red and blue, and
they
the
are
blue
light
one is
and dark.
called Lilla, and Lilla in German is purple.
So, but okay, we could get another map out with this quick spell here, and Jonas, he plays Runic Life Twin Sprite. That is not a deck known to play like Ash Blossom and so on. Look how he's going into the tank. He's in that thinking position there. He doesn't know whether he wants to do anything here.
I would say it's a deck like known for like not playing any hand traps really, isn't it?
Indeed.
So Alessio.
But oh wait, I'm just seeing he does play Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Jonas
And
made
he
the
Ash
decision and he
Blossoms
does it. And that's amazing here because it's a 2-for-1 trade here. That's really, really strong for Jonas Koschel in that particular moment.
And what is the last card for Alessio?
I think, as I said, that has to be the continuous spell. That has to be the Fluandereeze and the Unexplored Winds.
Oh, and he passes.
Wow, that's so strong for Jonas Koschel. That's really, really good for
I
him.
really like the addition of at least one hand trap in the Runic Life Twin Sprite deck, because you are drawing so many cards, and then sometimes you can actually just find one more interruption on the opposing turn. You better your matchup versus Branded by 1,000 times.
Do you think that was the card he drew for the Frost?
I want to believe it.
Good. That would have been so good.
Normally it takes me about like 3 times my opponent has to add a card before.
Oh, and we're
remember there's
picking
a
up the
Frost.
deck. Jonas leads 1-0 against Alessio with this Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, which nobody saw coming.
Wow, he was really thinking about it. He was like, that pose was really, really cool. And then he made the decision to use it there. And honestly, to me, it feels like a pretty easy decision because your opponent gives up 1 card and then also there's that card being activated. So as I said, it's a 2-for-1 trade and there's only 1 more card in the opponent's hand. So what card is that supposed to be that brings him out of all of this?
If that last card was supposed to be Robina, then if the opponent activates Adventure and searches for a map, they can actually chain block the Robina.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you're not even going to use your Ash at all.
You got to do it there for sure.
It was the right decision, 100%.
Yeah, it's always worth thinking about it because it's kind of like the like strong play or whatever you want to call it to just Ash the search card. But if you wait until they summon the monster, then they've summoned it and now there's never going to be a Robina resolving. So it's always like a 50-50. It's like whether you negate the Alubur or the opening or something like that. You know, you've always got to make that decision what's worth it, giving your opponent the extra free stuff
True,
but
true.
taking the risk, well, taking less of a risk, I guess.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the effect of Rubina is not only the surge, but also the normal summon. So
Yeah,
you do
exactly.
stop it there in its tracks. So I do get why you would wait for Rubina too, but I really like the decision here to just use it onto the Unexplode Winds, and that worked out perfectly fine. Oh, wait, it's not the Unexplode Winds,
The Advent
right?
of Adventure.
Exactly, the Advent. But yeah, that was not looking great for Jonas in his first turn. That
Yeah.
Droll and Lockbird looked so strong, and the field he created there was not that great. He only had one interruption.
And he had the runic field spell, the fountain. And that could have possibly been 20 more interruptions, to be honest. However, there was this Harpy's Feather Duster that we talked about earlier.
To be fair, he didn't even have that many cards left in his hand, and one of
Yeah.
them was Ash Blossom, so there was the possibility, but he didn't even have any additional runic cards, to be fair. But I mean, it worked out just like a charm for him there. He's up one game here versus Flanders. That's a comfortable position to be in because you really don't want to drop a game to Flanders and being down one game versus Batak. Because when they go first, they can bring in cards like Harpius Featherstorm and stuff like that. We just saw the Harpius Feather Duster, but its little brother in Flanders is pretty good, not gonna lie. But now we will have that for game number 2, and Jonas will have the chance to get it back in game 3. I mean, of course, there are cards in the side deck of Jonas Kosher that he can bring in for game 2 now in a go second scenario as well. Like, for example, he could bring in the Harpius Feather Duster himself. I think we are going to see that, yes. And also, we see that there's Dark Ruler no more in the side deck. This was a very popular card amongst Runic Lifetime Sprite players in their main deck for the last couple of weeks, but he made the decision to put that Ash Blossom into the main deck. Worked out perfectly fine here. I really like that call. And he has that Dark Ruler in the side deck instead.
What do you guys think of this decision?
I love it. I really love it.
You're a
because
fan?
I've seen so many Runic Lifetime Sprite players just discarding Dark Rulers on their opponent's turn, on their opening turn and so on. It never really felt like this card is doing that much. And Ash Blossom, as you just saw, was so amazing. I really love the decision, not gonna lie.
Yes, and it seems that both players are ready for this game 2 of round 2 of the top playoff that we are having here. So let's go right into the match.
There we have them. Players got informed that they are allowed to start. So let's see whether Alessio this time finds some of his little birds. Do we see Rubina? Do we see Aglin? What is going to happen here?
I mean, sometimes this deck really can't find any place. There are consistency cards like Duality and Prosperity, but sometimes it just doesn't work and you're passing on nothing. This happens
Occasionally.
Sometimes, occasionally, yes. It's not the most consistent deck in the entire format.
Feels like it's got about as many starters as Kashtira.
That's a good point.
And you get to run. It's like it's Fluunderies and Pot. There's like
true.
17 Pot cards in the
You're
there's not
allowed
7.
to.
There's like
Pot of
7.
Duality is a huge
There's
plus.
Duality,
Entire Pot
Extravagance. Yeah, you can just put the entire Pot collection in your deck.
Oh, he does have Aglin, but Aglin is not the perfect start because Aglin doesn't give you access to Rubina. And immediately, Jonas has the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring to stop the play. And I don't know what should happen here. I think that might be a pass.
That is really good because Aglin is also the one that hurts the most. Because, okay, so there is no normal summon now at this point, but if there was any extender or something like that, it would be really hard to get to an Aglin, which is like the card that rounds up your end field.
Yeah, exactly. So that might mean he's only running 2 copies of the Empen, right? So
He is.
Unless
The
he's
only
drawn
thing
an
that is
Empen.
good about having Aglin on the field is that it's a winged beast. So if you get Ash on the Rubina, that means there is not going to be a winged beast on the field. But now there is one, and that's very important for the Harpius Featherstorm, which I think is pretty likely to be here.
I think Rubina is a wing
Oh,
beast.
wait.
I
It's
think
not a
all of
wind,
them
though.
are.
But Harpius Featherstorm needs a wind
yeah.
winged beast. That's why it's important, yeah. And therefore Rubina doesn't work. There is the Harpius Featherstorm! It looks like a copy of the first game, just reversed. There is Harpius Featherstorm from Jonas.
The Duster. The
Yeah,
storm
yeah,
is
true,
back.
but the storm is about to come. There it is. The two Harpius cards. This is Harpius versus Harpius here. Oh, and that's really good there for Alessio.
that's beautiful. Does Harpy's Featherstorm, it has an effect when it's destroyed, right? I mean, he may have sided out the Harpy's Feather Duster, but
True, you can add one Harpius
that would be
Feather Duster for
very funny if he's. Is he
Deck-
no,
Oh,
he's
he's
searching
on
for
the
the
front, yeah.
for the win, but he may also search for the Feather Duster. That would be insane.
That
I
would
mean,
be
Honestly,
actually
it's-
really good.
Yeah, it's not that bad even going first versus Runic Lifetron because you
Yeah.
can just still get rid of the
Oh,
he's
yes,
doing it.
he's doing it.
Indeed, I think we are going to search another Harpy's Feather Duster
Running the full Harpy engine.
in this featured match. We just see Harpy's Feather Duster non-stop on both sides of the field. What's going on
if
here?
it wasn't limited.
It's like a double whammy, isn't it? It's like you have no monster effects this turn, and then next turn I'm going to destroy all your spells and traps. So what are you going to do?
This is ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen this effect resolved, to be honest. That's really, really nice. So, Jonas, though, still, even though he just got Harpy's Feather Storm, there are a lot of spell effects he can use instead of monster effects.
And the good thing for him is if he doesn't have any monster effects to play with, you can still summon out a Hugin and then have the Runic Fountain on the field, protect it from being destroyed, and then possibly draw many cards or have some interruptions ready.
Ooh, there's a 1-off Toucan being banished. That always hurts.
It doesn't hurt. That's excellent.
Whose
side are you on, actually?
If you find the normal summon of a monster, yes.
What did he add to his hand, though, with...
I think it was just the Slumber.
It was the Fountain.
Here.
No, sorry. What added with the advent of adventure?
It has to be Rubina,
Rubina,
right?
it was
Okay,
Rubina,
so yeah, he's definitely got a bird in hand, right? So
and Jonas is now going for a draw to playing the Runic Stun variant this time around.
not quite as popular as the Runic Live Twin or Runic for Hire.
So probably we're not going to see much more. Oh, okay. We are setting cards. I am somewhat confused by that. Maybe we have Sprite started to just get out.
Well, we have
Sprite
the
Carrot here.
Hugin, right?
Oh yeah, true. You're right. You're right. So it's not as dangerous.
I mean, I don't think you even bother using the Duster, right? There's no point trading it for the Hugin. You'd probably rather your opponent, because like clearing your opponent's extra monster zone for them gives them a chance to activate more runic spells and traps.
Yeah.
Well, spells.
Fair enough. You're
I
right.
don't know if there's any runic traps. Certainly not any that are in Jonas's deck.
Alessio really has to try and play here. Of course, he knows that there are probably some runic cards coming for him. A Freezing Curse is on the Rubina would really hurt. He did not have that much to play in the last turn, so that would have to change like crazy with a big top deck.
So, Alessio really considering it. I could see that this is the happiest. Oh no, okay, we do go for normal summon Rubina. And does Jonas have another Ash Blossom? If he has, it doesn't really matter here because Alessio is able to chain block it here with the Toucan or the Eggland. But there is the Freezing Curses.
Is there a second Advent? That would be amazing.
Wow, it is! Alessio with the double Advent, and that makes this Rubina resolve.
Yeah, it's just like in last game you got 2 for 1 by activating the Advent because you lost a card and you know 2 cards to 1 Ash, but this time it's going +1. It's done a full switch around.
Now we are going to see if Jonas actually wants to activate the fountain after this for a draw 1. I don't know about the resources in his hand.
I mean, it is a draw 3, isn't it? Oh wait, no, he did just shuffle back 2 last turn. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, probably though, right? Because I don't think he has that many runic cards left. I could see him using it here for 1.
The second Advent is actually incredible right here.
Oh, we are searching for the field spell. That makes a lot of sense.
You really have to keep your head on straight when it comes to these Flow Under Ease cards because the chain links can get a bit confusing and there's normal summons happening during the chain links and so on. And then, yeah, it can be quite difficult to figure out when you're allowed to activate your trigger effects and so on.
So there's Agdan chaining 1, Toucan chaining 2. Does Jonas...
And then
it didn't look like he wanted to use his
This would be
fountain.
the time to activate Fountain if he wanted to use it, right?
But he doesn't. He just lets Alessio search another card. It is going to be 3. Oh wait, I think we did not resolve the Rubina just yet, right? Yeah, okay, we just resolved the Rubina there.
It's all very confusing.
Are we gonna see the draw 1 of the fountain? No, we are not, which is also interesting because this tree was just added and it could just banish the Freezing Curse if it wants, right?
Yes. No, I agree. No, it does make sense to use it now.
So I think I saw another trap card in the hand of Alessio. So if that's another Harpy's Featherstone, Jonas might not really get the chance to play on his next turn either.
Yeah.
Harpy's Featherstorm, it's insane that like Flow Under Ease just has their own little, you know, say no when you go first.
It is. It is another Harpy's Featherstorm. We can see this on our bigger screen that we are having. And this is going to be bad news for Jonas. He had such a great start with this very important Ash Blossom and also with the Harpy's Feather Duster, but he's just gonna get dustered back at some point as well.
Ooh, and look at that. Maybe Jonas really should have used that Runic Fountain, because now that Freezing Curse is gone for good, and he's not going to be able to shuffle it back to the deck.
I like the way Alessio's like slow rolling his birds being added back from the banish pile. So you get like, you know, you're always playing around Ash, because I feel like it would be quite natural just to activate all of them immediately, but if you do them one at a time, now every time you can prevent any of your important monster effects from being hit by Ash Blossom.
Yeah, Alessio is a very accomplished Fluanderese player, so he definitely knows what to do. And now he grabs out the continuous spell. This time it is the Unexplored Winds. I was mistaken earlier by calling the quick spell the Unexplored Winds, but this is the Unexplored Winds. And now this is actually a way to get rid of the Runic Fountain even, which is kind of cool.
Unless Jonas, of course, has the Runic Destruction, which would be a great answer for that. Maybe get his draw 1 off of that.
Yeah, I mean, given that Jonas didn't use the Fountain, he's got at least one other Runic spell. Right?
Must be, I agree.
But yeah, I suppose we don't know which one. And that we saw him add, was it Freezing Curses he added before?
I think so, yeah. That was the one he searched out.
So easily the worst one, I think, is Flashing Fire in this situation, right?
Yeah.
Because your opponent's never going to special summon.
You're probably even siding out a copy of Flashing Fire in this matchup.
I think so too.
You can't really side out more than one copy. Okay, we're just going battle phase, going after the Hugin. That is going to mandatory activate to put itself back into the extra deck.
Do you think this is a duster moment now that the Hugin's got? I mean, you must have a read that your opponent's got an extra
But
Runic.
I mean, if your opponent only has the Destruction, then it makes sense to duster here, so you can protect your...
Oh, but it's
it's a
Runic Tip.
Oh, you don't want to special summon something with Runic. He just activates it already. That is actually really good. That's another draw.
I don't know if you've played Runic and you've activated Tip and your opponent says, are you going to special summon or are you going to add?
Very uncommon, I
You
will
just
say.
kind of look at them and say, has anyone ever special summoned something?
Oh, but we do grab the Dispelling. That's kind of cool, because that could even use its first effect here. Still, it could also be used to special summon, but we could also, after Alessio, add something from his deck to his hand, use the Dispelling to discard one random card from his hand.
Yeah, maybe if you had just wanted to special summon, you might have added the Flashing Fire, unless you already had one.
There comes
there a Destruction
Unexplored
as well?
Winds. Okay, yeah, we are just going to special summon with the Dispelling.
Maybe he's just doing it now so he can get his Fountain off.
Yep. That looks like it is exactly what he's doing. Maybe he's also going to use the Hugin effect to get a Fountain for next turn as a follow-up already. Would make sense, I think.
Although he's already not activated it, right? Because he's already drawn. So maybe that means he has the second one in his hand.
Fair enough.
So there comes the map. So we did play around to Destruction now. I like that. The funny thing is, there is Harpius Feather Duster in his hand all the way through, but he still hasn't used it. We were like, oh, he's using the Harpius Feather Storm to search the Feather Duster. That's amazing. And he hasn't even activated it. Grabbing back the Empen here with the Toucan. We are tributing the Toucan and the Runic Fountain for a second copy of Empen.
All of those Empens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big birds.
Even if Jonas has the Freezing Curses here, there is a second Empen to provide that negate effect, or the effect that opponent's monsters in attack position, special summon monsters,
super
can't use their
strong
effects.
against the live twin deck because it shuts off all. I mean, it shuts off all link monsters, right? So
And I really now we are going for Apex Aven, which also makes sense. I really like the fact that he had 2 Empen on the field, because the usual way to out this is just to Freezing Curses one and then play with your live twins, which is also not going to be possible with with this heavy Harpies Feather Storm set. But now you have protection.
I like the way he's
Apex
finally cleared the Hugin, so now he can use his Harpies Feather Duster, right?
So there is Freezing
Nice.
Curses being activated, or it's Flashing Fire rather, to special summon, and probably going to see another copy of... Oh yeah, it's Gary coming down here. Gary activates its effect, and Jonas sees the bad news. It's a second copy of Harpius Feather Storm, and that means that Jonas Koschel is going to pick up his cards, and Alessio Cifola equals the score. 1-1 it is.
Yeah, Gary the big dog did not help him at all here, because the effect could in fact not be resolved properly. So playing without monster effects, even though you're playing so many spell cards, it's not easy.
It's not easy. No, it is quite hard nowadays. I mean, maybe in Time Wizard format you could play without monster effects, but
for 1 or 2 turns.
Yeah. But now the question becomes, do we side in those Dimension Shifters? Probably yes, right?
I think you do. I mean,
Yeah, you gotta do
the
it.
strategy against... I guess if your opponent gets a Chaos Hunter off against you, that is very annoying. Because it
Yeah.
prevents your birds from being banished and coming back to your hand,
True. Also, it makes yourself being able to play, because the Chaos Hunter, when it comes onto the field, will just say your cards cannot be banished, and therefore you can just continue your combo because you have that Chaos Hunter access. And let me check the side deck of Jonas Koschel. He is indeed still running the Chaos Hunter, because I noticed that a couple of people were cutting that card from their side decks, but he is one of the players still playing it. Also, another card that I just see here is Eradicator Epidemic Virus.
Flashbacks.
That is a card that Leonard and I had some interesting moments with at German Nationals, where Dinkabui resolved it to win German Nationals basically in Game 3.
Dinkabui also competing in this tournament.
He is for sure. He absolutely is. Of course, one of the most accomplished players again of Europe. Of course, he's in this playoff too. And that is a card that is pretty strong versus the Fluanderees deck as well, because there are a bunch of spell cards that you can take out of their opponent, out of their hand there. Right?
Yeah, how many spells do you reckon is like 20?
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. So I could see that absolutely coming in. I don't think we're going to see Bestials. That is, I mean,
Why
yes.
not, Sebastian?
I mean, there is a Dimension Shifter potentially you could banish.
You can
banish your own
you can
cards.
banish your own monsters, get a free search.
There's
you can
always
use
a way.
Druid's Web to send one of your opponent's special summon monster.
Probably not going to come in, no. But on the other hand, seeing the side deck of Alessio, we talked about the Dimension Shifters. He's probably going to bring them in. And another interesting card I haven't seen in ages, to be honest. It's Ultimate Slayer. And this card, of course, is kind of crazy to play in the main deck because it doesn't work against a Rysart, because you have to send the card to the graveyard. But in this matchup, I do like it a lot. I think it's a pretty good card to bring in specifically versus Runic Lifetime Sprite, and I'm pretty sure it would be really impactful if he manages to draw it here.
Also, he plays the main deck Evil Twin, Kisekil and Lilla, so if he sends a Trouble Sunny from his extra deck against the Live Twin deck, he can just send... I just realized that this is not the Live Twin or Evil Twin deck.
I haven't seen...
absolutely.
What is the Evil Twins, Kisekil and Lilla? What does this do?
It's a little bit like Evenly Matched, right? I will get this up on the card highlight for you as soon as we are in the game again.
I mean, it doesn't really do that. It's just you need to send the card from the main deck to the graveyard with the Trouble Sunny, and therefore you need to play that one-off brick in your main deck to send to the graveyard, basically.
I think there's another effect on this card, but we will read that up as soon as we're in the game. I have just seen a handshake, so the players are ready. Let's go Game 3.
So, back into Game 3, and I'm assuming Jonas will be going first. Seems like the go-to.
Yeah, and I checked with the Lilla, and it only triggers on special summon, and I don't think you're going to
really?
special summon out that that monster a whole lot, to be honest.
That is a good point.
In the Fluanderees deck. So, this time Jonas has the perfect start. He starts with the Lilla, so he's able to special summon out the Frost, and by Alessio signaling that this is okay, I would assume there's no Dimension Shifter being around here.
But is there the Drawn Lockbird?
Oh yeah, true. This card, of course, still most likely being in his deck.
So Jonas starting with the Fountain here, so do you reckon he's going to get a draw one, or he's just playing it just because?
I think it's kind of nice to secure yourself from Ghost Ogre. I know there's not a lot of Ghost Ogres around, but you could now, when there's Runic Fountain on the field, just special summon out the Hagen to play around the Ghost Ogre. So it's safer always to just activate it first.
Well, you can activate Runic spells on your own turn.
Yeah, but you don't get the advantage of drawing cards with the Fountain.
Yeah.
So, there is Runic Destruction now. Trying to special summon again.
Special summon or pop?
Is nodding. You can't even pop because you can only destroy opponents' cards. But what are we discarding for the Hagen here?
Are we even going to?
Oh.
No, we are just drawing.
We do chain block our Fountain. I really like that. We do. Oh, that's also like we are playing around Drone Lockbird here in the shoes of Jonas, because we could have also started with the Trouble Sunny, but no, we just started off with the Lilla. We wanted to play around the Drone Lockbird, and let's see whether it's going to come down here, because this is the first time that we are actually searching, or in this case, drawing.
Yeah, it's very tidy from Jonas here, getting the two searches in one go, making it much less painful if Drone Lockbird comes down.
And Alessio does not look like he is going to do something about this. There is still, just because he revealed the Drone Lockbird in Game 1, the chances that Jonas has other runic cards in hand. He just wanted to go for this Search Fountain and draw one in one go, so he doesn't get Lockbirded too harshly.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. This, like, you've still got the fountain, so you can still replace your first fountain with the second one and then bring it back for free with the big dog, as you playfully call him.
But I mean, still, like, in Game 1, Alessio did not really have all of those field-breaking cards, but now he has the Ultimate Slayer, he has Evenly Matched, which is also coming in from his side deck, so even though he can't interrupt here, he can't do the Drone Lockbird, he can't do the Dimension Shifter, there are still ways for him to get into this game on his own turn, for sure.
Gonna have to remind me, is Ultimate Slayer, can it be responded to, can't be responded to with monster effects?
I think that's what it says. Yeah, you cannot activate monster effects in the response.
So, I mean, against the runic deck, it's a little awkward, right? Because your opponent can just use a quick play spell and then chain whatever. You know, if you target an IP or something, you can chain a quick play spell and then chain the IP.
Yeah, I do agree.
Also, the card is a spell card, which would make it really vulnerable to Eradicator Epidemic Virus, and Jonas is going to draw many more cards this turn. He decided to not go for a draw one again, so I assume that there is another runic spell card in hand that he's going to be able to use soon.
Yeah, and I mean, there already is a Dark Monster with more than 3,000 attack points on the field, because the Gigantic has Hugin as a material, and therefore its attack is doubled. So we would have a card that is ready to be tributed by Eradicator.
Yeah, it feels very free, that, doesn't it? Just, you know, it comes out with 3,200. I mean, like, Hugin is technically a fusion monster, but you know, it doesn't really feel like it sometimes. You're just summoning it straight up from your extra deck with one quick play spell.
This is so good right now from Jonas because he has full combo plus the Gigantic, because sometimes you have to link away the Gigantic for either your IP or your Life Twins, but here he could go for the IP and also for the Life Twins. But it looks like he doesn't even bother going into the IP Masquerena, because we said it earlier, Nightmare Griffin is not really good versus Flandreese, so we just don't do it.
I still quite like having IP because sometimes you want to put your own Evil Twins in the graveyard, and IP lets you do that.
Maybe he's running a Unicorn to spin away?
But I mean, chances are gone now because we used the effects of our Evil Twins, and therefore you can't go.
Oh, that's a Duster!
Oh boy.
Actually huge.
We've seen 4 Dusters in 3 games.
Another cool going second card being revealed here, Enemy Controller. Actually a card that is really, really, really popular among the duelists here in our playoff.
By the way, I have seen the hand of Alessio. I think that there are 4 or 5 spell cards.
It's a lot of spells, that's for sure.
If Jonas can find the Eradicator, this is going to be absolutely crazy.
Wait, did Jonas not use any of the Life Twin effects?
Oh, I think he did.
I would assume he did, right? But he just confidently goes into IP Masquerena there. Yeah, wait, okay, so the crowd is also saying it. Yeah, there is. He should absolutely be...
Yeah.
He should absolutely be... But I mean, Jonas is so confident. He also says, keep on going. I think he just actually didn't use any of the effects. There might have been a different way to get them back.
Yeah, you're more practiced with this. You normally have to make the IP first, right? Because you want to use the Live Twins. But so that was what I was thinking, like, why can't you make the IP at the end? And you're pointing it out here, obviously, is the Live Twins lock you into only summoning Fiends from the extra deck. So we're just clarifying that.
But I mean, he had so many monsters on the field. I just think he did not use the effects to summon back one of them. Because he also didn't draw with the Quizzical. Oh wait, they are trying to...
putting them back. Are they just checking?
But I mean, you guys realize that he didn't draw with Quizzical. That is a big indicator that he just didn't use the reborn effect of the Link monsters. So I think he just had multiple of the monsters on the field and he just hard summoned them in some way. I could imagine that.
No, he can't have that. So what's it? He's used 2 runic spells, so that's 2 monsters.
Yeah.
And the Gigantic is sort of level.
Oh wait, okay. They did realize
7 monsters without the. I don't think.
So we were first on the first. We were right on the first side. There is no way to go into IP Masquerena after you use the effects. There is another enemy control, and apparently, and maybe even more importantly, so far there's no Eradicator.
Yeah, that would have been an absolute blowout card again, just like in the finals of the German National Championships. Would have taken away 5 cards.
Yeah, and there's no real reason to slow roll Eradicator that I can think of.
And now this is really, really a bad spot for Jonas because he has both of the evil twins on the field already, but no way to get rid of them.
Yeah, that is honestly...
I think he has Sprite starter set, right?
He searched
for it, for sure.
So he can go into a carrot and then tribute away a Kizikil or a Lilla, but it's only a way to get rid of one of them, so he might not be able to use both effects this turn.
I mean, enemy controller could be a way to really do a whole lot of stuff here, because you can just normal summon Rubina or whatever bird you have in your hand, and then go into battle phase and just take one of the evil twin and then just let them crash or something. There are a couple of ways for Alessio to tackle this here, and it seems like he decides to go for the card that was so powerful in his last game.
I love the fact, I mean, it seems funny to say, just tributing your monster is such a powerful thing to do, but like it prevents it from being hit by freezing curses or infinite impermanence or anything like that.
For sure, yeah.
But the advent of adventure does serve that same purpose.
So does Jonas use the Kizikil Frost in his graveyard now after a card was activated? If something like that, like this IP summon that didn't work, of course, happens, it might get to your head, but no, Jonas remains calm, doesn't let the nerves get to his head.
Right, back on track, and we are chaining the Sprite starter immediately as well. We saw that our opponent did add himself a spell card, and therefore we want to have that Sprite Carrot on the field.
I like as well, you just don't take the chance that Sprite Carrot is on top of your deck.
Oh yeah, you're right, that's pretty smart there.
Now the question is, did he draw Eradicator with this one draw?
That would be very sad, wouldn't it?
Maybe he drew Ash Blossom again, which would be a lot better, to be honest.
That is true.
But
so,
no monster interruptions here, unless there's a freezing curses in hand, I suppose.
The problem is that the enemy controller and the Advent get rid of the monster for cost. So if you have freezing curses, even if you negate the Advent of the enemy controller, it's difficult. Do you have to negate this?
He already allowed it. I'm pretty sure he already gave this thumbs up. And oh wow, there's also the field spell. There's also map. And honestly, like, imagine Jonas would have the chance to just go into the good old unicorn to immediately get rid of the map or something. But there is no IP Masquerena here.
I like I mean, it's a very slight optimization there from Jonas, but you can wait until your opponent uses the effective map, which is what we saw. So that way, if Alessio had another map, then he wouldn't be able to use that effect.
That is true indeed. Jonas did decide to tribute the Kizikil here instead of the Lillas, so he will not have an additional pop, but rather an additional draw.
He needed to have the space on the main monster
and
zone.
There's the Ash Blossom onto the Aglet. So again, what a powerful Ash Blossom by Jonas Koschel. All the games he just had Ash Blossom, and he's just really, really taking advantage of all that.
And
how do you play now?
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking, because he can now shuffle back some birdies from his hand and get some new draws, but which card allows him to normal summon again? Because the map was used, he negated the effect of the map.
Exactly, so I don't see what there is.
There's a draw one, first of all.
Is Jonas Koschel leaving his opponent with nothing, even after he couldn't summon the IP Masquerena? And like after that turn, after that, he must find an Eradicator somewhere. This is the battle phase attack over the sprint. We are going to see the Lilla summoning back the Kizikil for another draw. Another draw, yet another draw. We are getting closer and closer to Eradicator, which will also be good in the turn after that.
I mean, yeah, but at this point you don't even really need to be Eradicator anymore, to be honest. Like, if we survive this turn, which looks good because we are already in the battle phase and our field is still pretty stable, I think we are in a good spot. And there comes another Runic card, Runic Slumber being activated most likely in the end phase, just to trigger our Runic Fountain to get our Runic engine going even more. Oh, and there's Distraction as well. Wow.
Very strong as well. And there are no interactions for Alessio on Jonas next turn. There is no Harpy's Featherstorm that can stop him in his tracks yet again. Fountain is going to draw 2 more cards. This looks like an absolutely phenomenal setup for Jonas. He is not there yet, so he can't go for a battle phase next turn. He has used some of the Runic cards a little bit too often this game, but he might find Eradicator as a follow-up, so he doesn't have to use the Runic cards again to close this game out eventually soon.
Yeah, I feel like Eradicator is the thing that will seal the deal. Because again, you can't... You only have so many spaces on your field, right? You can't just keep putting up more and more negates. So I guess we'll have to see if Jonas has found the Eradicator.
But I think like not only that, also now we're not locked into rank or link 2s or whatsoever, so we can finally access cards like Trouble Sunny or maybe even Abomination if we want to go for it. So there are a couple of very cool things to do here.
We could have also gone for a Unicorn with the Sprite Blue next to the Kizikil to get an extra draw while shuffling back the Eglin, because you can't run over it. You have to try and get rid of it.
But there it is, we Trouble Sunny.
Fair enough.
Trouble Sunny should manage.
Oh, and there's also Sprite
Strong.
Red. That is so strong.
Doesn't even have to use the gigantic Sprite. Doesn't have to bother there.
He's going to have to perform some sort of summon from his extra deck, right? Because now he's got too many monsters to use Trouble Sunny.
That's a good point. But he has Carrot and he has Red.
He does go for the Gigantic, and I think by using Gigantic here, that kind of tells us that there is no Eradicator, because that Gigantic right there doesn't have more than 3,000 attack points now anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Although the Trouble Sunny does. Is it? What attribute is?
Oh wait, you're right. I think Trouble Sunny.
It's
Was it
light,
light?
right?
It's light. Yeah, it's light.
But it is very big. It's 3,300. It is funny to see the
This time there is VIP Masquerena now.
It is 2. It is allowed, even under the gigantic.
So what's next, Jonas?
How many cards can we see Jonas go on hand? It's
A
a lot.
It's a lot. It's for sure a lot. So skipping the battle phase, passing it back over to Alessio, who draws to 4 cards in hand. Are they going to be good enough to take care of the field here that Jonas Koschel set up?
Eglin stays on the field, so this might be something. Pot of Duality is activated. Kizikil Frost already banished in the turn before. No Burial of a different dimension to get it back to get the extra draw. To be fair, wouldn't really help him because it's just like 1 card for 1 card. But
And you already draw so many cards. Okay, immediately, because there's only 4 cards in total in the hand of Alessio, Jonas decides to negate the first card that his opponent is activating.
I like that. Sometimes you also as well just want to clear monsters off your own field. So it seems like a silly thing to do, but the Live Twins can run into this problem.
now the red is also looking really good. It is another card just like the Ash Blossom before, which could also be still in Jonas' hand.
Well, red is
it's
less powerful because, as we were mentioning, there's like infinite chain blocks, right?
But there is nothing here, right?
Yeah, no, Jonas banished half of Alessio's deck.
Really good point. He just took the cards in his hand.
Eglin Chainlink 1, Eglin Chainlink 2 as well, but the other one being in the banished pile.
There's a lot of Eglins going on here.
Yeah.
All 3 Eglins making an appearance at the same time.
Working together as a team. United we stand.
Something I could have seen here, which is very unusual for the Flanders deck, is going for an Exceed Summon, actually, because we already had a level 1 monster on the field to begin our turn, and then we could have just normal summoned the Eglin, not using the effect, and that would have given us access to cards such as Assembled Nightingale, for example, which of course then would lead to Zeus hitting the field, but Zeus would be one of those cards that would kind of struggle versus Sprite Red, not gonna lie.
Interesting that Jonas has not chained either of his Trouble Sunny or his IP, which means, and in this, like when Eglin resolves, Empen could be in play, right? So that will prevent you from activating those effects.
That's true, but maybe there are like many of the Empens already banished. We didn't really see what cards are banished there in particular, but no, there is still one more Eglin in the deck. Alessio grabbing it, and therefore, as he just said, he could immediately summon it out here. And that is indeed what's going to happen. But I mean, probably we just have like freezing curses or something to take care of it.
It has to be exactly freezing curses, right? Because flashing fire does not do the trick.
So Chainlink 1, Empen, Chainlink 2, 3, and the set card. Is it the freezing curses? It is indeed the freezing curses onto the Eglin.
And that is really important because otherwise you couldn't use IP, you couldn't use Trouble Sunny.
Exactly, and you preventing an extra normal summon as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alessio in the entire match not really being able to establish map. And map is like the cool part about the deck, the part that gives you an additional normal
but
summon.
we are probably going to see the advent of adventure here,
is it an additional advent? It is indeed advent.
You needed to play on after this, but this is not the card you want to banish for advent. You don't want to go all the way again. You don't want to have to rely on hard drawing an Empen or an Apex
Oh,
Avian?
and there's another Ash
Wow.
Blossom and Joyous Spring by Jonas Koschel.
Jonas Koschel, master of the Ash Blossoms in this tournament. Freezing Curses is not going to resolve, however, so there is an additional normal summon, but the surge from the Advent is going to be denied here.
You do at least get the Empen, but I think with the carrot still going to be in play for next turn, it's going to be very, very tricky for Alessio to navigate this.
But I feel like with this match alone, Jonas must be happy that he included Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring into his main deck, because basically all 3 games it came down pretty decently already.
Also, remember that there is still a Trouble Sunny, so if there is the map activated, you can still tribute the Trouble Sunny, get a pop from the Lilla effect, and then also you have more cards to tribute for red or for IP Link summoning.
The thing is, I do believe we have Stree in our hand now, so Stree could at least get one of the Evil Twins out from the graveyard, which is kind of cool.
How do you normal summon, Basti?
We're still not. No, we still got the normal summon from
because
Empen.
of
But we're still,
exactly.
we're still resolving Empen.
Oh, right.
We're not normal summoning.
That is a good point.
But it doesn't look like we did that, because we did trigger the Runic Fountain. Yeah, we did not normal summon with Empen, and therefore we can absolutely now use the effect of Troubled Sunny, getting a draw and the pop out here, and that is going to be gone in a moment.
To be fair, what was Alessio going to do with that 3 anyways? He would need to have the Empen in hand or an Apex Avian, because he already used the Eglin effect this turn.
You could search, get Rabina, and then get Tuken.
Oh, right. Tuken adds Empen.
Tuken can add Empen.
That works, yeah. So Alessio now being robbed of his map. Can he do anything else, or is it back to Jonas? By the way, Alessio is posturing there. It looks like he's passing it over, and Jonas is drawing for turn. He's not going to have a battle phase here, but still a lot of stuff to do.
This is definitely one of those things about the Live Twin deck where I find it uncomfortable. You know, you're in this situation, you're looking extremely dominant, you've got 5 months in play, your opponent's passed, empty field, you're like, great. But
yeah,
what do you do?
Honestly,
let's wait this out.
yeah, honestly, it looks like the first turn is super important with this deck, but I do believe if you want to really play this deck on a high level, the follow-up turn is even more important, because you have to have a plan on what to do after you did all of your cool stuff on your opponent's turn, but then you're there to do something really cool after.
So we are not Link summoning in this position. I think that we might, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but this might actually come down to an Eradicator, because the Flu Wanderers deck has such good follow-up. This is the Link that is dark and has 3,000 attack points. It's Abomination.
It is indeed an
An
Abomination.
extra draw. Jonas still, yeah, I mean, he still hasn't. Well, we don't know if he's found it yet.
Oh, there is the Droll Lockbird now. It's pretty late.
I was going to say, that's the world's latest draw. Where isn't it? It's like turn 5?
Something like that. And I think Jonas might even be happy, because
Jonas has red. He can still consider negating this with red.
It doesn't feel like it costs you very much to negate it with red. So if he doesn't negate it, it probably is because he wasn't planning on drawing anything, right?
Yeah.
Because he already has too many cards in hand.
Like
I mean, he could have gotten an extra card, because he could have just
You could just negate it and bring it back. That's a suspicious-looking set from Jonas. He's even put it in the same column as the Abomination.
That might be a tell there. That might be a tell. But honestly, it's only 5 more minutes left on the clock, and Jonas is down 1,000 life points here. So he better interrupt Alessio fast here if he wants to win this match.
It's going to be very difficult to interrupt, because there's the chain links going on.
Yep.
So you cannot red the Tuken, assuming that's the Eglin being chained and not targeted. And surely you're adding back Empen.
Absolutely, but I think... Is there even another... There's Eglin, but is there another bird being banished besides that Eglin? Also, we just used Eglin, right? So we can't even use Eglin anymore.
to add, yeah. There's no Rabina found yet, which is a problem.
There's now Stree being used, and we can't chain block with Stree, and therefore it is easy to solve this problem with the Sprite Rat being used onto it. Oh.
And now Abomination is going to pop the Toucan as well, because the card was just destroyed. Both are banished. Alessio is looking forward to doing something maybe with a map. Does he even have a map? He's scooping! He reveals his hand! Jonas Koschel wins the second round of this tournament.
Absolutely. It looked a little weird after he wasn't able to summon out IP Masquerena there in that game 3, but he did recover, as Leonard was greatly saying. He managed to make up his mind again. He was getting into his zone after making this kind of weird misplay, which we didn't expect from someone like Jonas Koschel, to be honest. But he was there. He went into the zone again. He got into the thinking tank once more, which he already did in game 1, and it worked out like a charm for him. Ash Blossom enjoys Spring, being one of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a while now. But again, maybe coming into this format, coming into this tournament in the hands of Jonas Koschel, being the card that brings him the tournament victory. Or he doesn't even need to win the tournament, but just gets his spots to Worlds. Might be, right?
Yeah, I like. It's a card that kind of has been going up and down for a while. It's a very consistent hand trap, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a nice, as you were mentioning, like because you draw so many cards, you want to find cards that you can keep using. You know, it's fun to play those evenly matched, that Dark Ruler, but you actually want cards you can use in the middle of a game as well.
Yeah. Also, it is kind of good to disrupt your opponent a bit from building a big field so that you can play through it with your runing spells and gain the advantage after that.
Absolutely. I think people in the beginning were like 100% we are going to play evenly matched. But then at some point they figured out, yeah, we are just drawing evenly matched non-stop with our runic cards, and that's actually not even that great. So at German Nationals, a couple of people were already going over to play Dark Hole, Raigeki, cards like that, because those are even like okay when you draw them for your follow-up turn. But evenly matched just only feels good on your first turn, and therefore maybe this is not really the card to go with anymore.
Yes, this is all something I'm really looking forward to see in the European Championships as well, which you guys are currently watching. We are still on Friday here watching this fantastic tournament. This whole weekend is just packed with amazing duels, and I can't wait for it to continue. So you guys don't have to wait that long. So stay tuned. We're here for more live content.